Hello, humans. I recently got the opportunity to go to a pen store when I was down on the coast, and I ended up picking up this guy right here. So this is a cross pen, matte blue PVD coating, fountain pen designed in the USA, made in China. I always hate it when people say designed in the USA, largely just because it means nothing. Like, you can get good engineers anywhere in the world. The only reason why you put down designed in the USA is that Americans see it and go, "Oh, this is my backyard." It's not. It's not. This is made in China. It's not to say it's lower quality. Plenty of American manufacturing is shit, and plenty of Chinese manufacturing is between decent and quite good. But it just kind of pisses me off. Anyway, here we have the actual box once we've taken it out of our sleeve. It's a nicely textured cardboard box, cross pens. Yeah, it wasn't sitting in there very well anymore, but that's fine. Here we have the pen itself. Absolutely beautiful knurling along its entire body. And then this band here, cross written once, twice, 3 times on it. Ooh, okay. Just the finer details right off the bat. Cross is stamped into the pocket clip. Beautiful blue pocket clip, beautiful blue. I'm liking this right off the bat. Like, this is absolutely gorgeous. Let's see what else we have in the box itself. So elastics with this. Ooh, is that an actual hinge? Well, I'm gonna go through the goodies in a second. I'm just getting excited about the actual construction of the box. This has like a proper hinge to it. This is a really well-made box. It's got like a proper hinge to it, little storage compartment, presentation side. I will be keeping this box. This is a rather nice box. Okay, so inside we get, oh my god, a fucking roadmap apparently. In about 102 different languages. Blah, 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 blah. Barrel, tube, cap, different ways of taking a pen apart, putting it back together. Chinese, American, English, not two separate things. It is American English. They spell things wrong. What I'm assuming is German. Lots of different languages on this one here, which makes sense, seeing as how it's freaking massive. Blah, 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 blah. Here's a convenient way to fill your fountain pen with a converter. Here's a way to clean it. Blah, blah, blah. All right. If you've never experienced a fountain pen before, that's pretty nice. The only thing that is a little bit annoying is the only warranty card that I can see is for Mexico. Not sure about that. That's kind of weird. Maybe the rest of these, I don't know. That's super weird. I don't know enough about Cross as a company to understand what they're trying to do there, but they're unquestionably guaranteed against mechanical failure regardless of age. Repaired or replaced at no cost when received at a factory from consumer. Postage and insurance are responsibility of the consumer, and processing fee may apply, blah, 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 blah. So if it stops working, you can send it in and they will absolutely fix it, which is pretty fair. Ooh. Oh. Okay, so obviously they're not responsible. The stylus tipped ones, they're not responsible for it damaging your phone, computer, tablet, whatever. That's interesting. And then it goes into French. It is kind of surprising that they wouldn't be liable for their stylus. Lots of companies do that, though. I don't know. I always think it's super weird when a company is not liable for damage their part might do in the course of everyday use. We've got one more thing to pop open. Take a knife and snip this. Keep everything in. It's an ideal of We have 2 cartridges. These are the Cross ones, by the way, so if you like paying way too much, you can keep buying these, or you can find a converter. Converters aren't too bad. You can find them in a couple of different places, but they didn't have any when I went in, so I'm waiting on one right now. Anyway, we've got 2 vials of black ink, which is pretty good. Unthreading. Feels like a lot of thread. Okay. So that's unthreading is just the back section, which probably means this is just a simple friction fit. Yeah, it is. All right. Wow, that looks good. This thing weighs nothing, by the way. Like, this is... I'm going from a full brass pen. My everyday pen is the Keras Ink V2 in brass. So I'm used to a very heavy writing utensil to begin with. This right here is very, very light feeling, especially because it does not currently have a cartridge in it. So let's put a cartridge in it. The blue finishing everywhere is absolutely beautiful. Okay. And that's why it's proprietary, by the way, because you can see it necks down to fit into that barrel, which means nothing else is going to fit it without a converter. All right. So I believe this is a fine tip nib. You can see the engraving. Oh, putting my phone stand. You can actually see the engraving on there. So it is a very, very beautiful pen. Oh, thanks. That was quick. So it's definitely more slim than my Ink V2, but it's a little bit thicker than like a regular pen and a decent amount thicker than a pencil. This knurling, I kind of wish they did the knurling down here on the actual grip, but I fully understand why they didn't, because that's something that is going to be very, very much personal opinion, but the knurling is beautifully done. This isn't a slick feeling grip either. Like, this is actually quite nice. Let's get a quick idea of how this is going to write. Just get the ink flow. Ooh, okay. That last part was definitely me. It is keeping up well. It is a little bit wet. It does work quite well. It is, especially towards the start of a stroke, there's a little bit more ink than there is throughout the rest of a stroke, which is leaving me feeling like I need to rush when I definitely don't. But that's not to say any fault of it. Like, it is still quite nice. It's just a different experience to what I am used to. Fascinating. I wonder how work. Just a brief sketch. Yeah, so the flow feels very, very consistent. You can obviously get a little bit more by applying pressure, and you can vary your line thickness quite a bit, actually. So here it is, minimal, at least as minimal of a line thickness as I can get, and here it is me trying to get a very big line thickness, and you can see that is quite a heavy variation, which is pretty cool. The cap is, it's friction fit, but it has a little bit of a detent to it, like it me show this up close. The widest point is up here, and then there's a little bit of a relief, which means that it sinks into its closing position, which is very, very nice attention to detail. Because once you make it past sort of that bump, it has a little bit of bias towards closure, which is exactly what you want. It makes it so that over time, especially, it doesn't get a loose cap. As this wears in more and more, that end part where it sinks in is always going to be the most heavily worn. So it's always going to have that bias towards closure until the actual cap starts to get loose. So it is just kind of a protection for longer term. Just the design elements of this are absolutely gorgeous. I am very, very impressed right out of the box. I will say, they say PVD coating, blue PVD, which it probably is. I don't know if it's aluminum or steel. I have a magnet. One quick second, I will be back with my magnet. So I do know that the nib is a stainless steel nib, but yeah, so the actual cap, oh, no, only the pocket clip is steel. The cap isn't, and the body isn't, barrel, whatever, which means that this is almost certainly aluminum, PVD coated aluminum. Not a bad thing, definitely contributing to why this feels so light. But wow, that's cool. It is a little bit of a fingerprint magnet. I can see my fingerprints all over this grip section. Another nice little detail is at the end of the grip section, there's a little bit of a lip, which is really, really nice for indexing off of. It gives you not quite a hard stop, but a very, very distinct end to where you should be gripping this, which I think is very, very well done. I do think that that is a correct way to do this. I don't know if you can hear that. I hope you can. It just into place, which is very, very nicely done. I am quite excited to carry this. This is definitely going to be a different type of classy compared to what I normally carry. Let's do some size comparisons real quick right here at the start. Wait, does it cap? Kind of. It kind of posts, but not really. Like it fits on there, but it doesn't seat or anything like that. So closed, here it is next to the Keras Pen Company Ink V2. It's actually a little bit longer than the Ink V2. Here it is next to the Zebra F301. It is a good deal longer than the F301. Here it is next to the Stillform Aeon, which is one of my absolute favorite pencils. Oh, forgot about the magnet in there. Again, it is a little bit longer, and then, not you, we're going to go with you. Here it is next to the Phoenix F5 Ti. And as you can see, it is a little bit longer in the F5 Ti as well. And we're just going to do the same thing. Uncapped. I'm going to switch this to a vertical because my table is slightly slanted. It is pretty well the same length as the Stillform. And this one here is designed to post, so I'm going to post it. Without its cap, it is definitely shorter than the Phoenix F5 Ti, whatever. Here it is also next to the Keras Pen Company. This does not post. And as you can see, they are very close to the same length. If you would stop rolling, that would be great. This thing really likes to roll, which is just a little bit, okay, whatever. use that as a stop, it's fine. And, I mean, the zebra doesn't really change size. So it is a fairly normal size for a pen. It works, which means it's going to be a very normal pen size to carry, which is absolutely great. Fairly easy to disassemble, friction fit. I am curious as, ooh, what is that feeling? There's a little bit of grittiness if you try to twist the body when it's closed, and I'm just wondering where that could be coming from. Maybe the nib's rubbing on something inside the cap. I actually can't tell, but it definitely doesn't want to twist once it's been closed. Yeah, I'm gonna carry this for a little bit, a couple weeks on and off kind of a deal, and come back with some more fully formed thoughts. But my initial impressions are this feels very, very nice. It feels like sort of a look like if my Ink V2 is a gorgeously made hammer or wrench, like a beautiful tool, this feels like a businessman's handshake. Very well refined, very much fit for its purpose, showy but functional, which is a good thing. Very different vibe from what I typically go for, but look at that gorgeous rich blue. I love this coloration. I'm quite excited to carry this for a bit, so I will be back. And we are back. So this guy has spent a decent chunk of the last couple of weeks in my pocket, primarily weekends and days that I'm not working, so like travel days when I'm down visiting my girlfriend, stuff like that. And there's a couple of reasons for that. The big one is I don't feel that this is durable enough for me to want to have it on my person all the time. Like it's I don't think that it's weak necessarily, but it's definitely built more delicately than my EDC pens typically are. It writes exceptionally well. This is the smoothest nib I have felt to date. Just, it works beautifully. There's no real indicator of how it's rotated in your hands. You do need to either look at it or like you need a way of identifying how the nib's pointed when you want to start writing, which isn't the end of the world, but if you're the type of person who likes to scribble notes, it can be nice to have either a little bit of a triangled section or even just like a thumb pad, something that you can use to quickly identify if you're in a writing position or not. And because this doesn't have one, I found that, you know, if I wanted to use it, I did have to look at the pen at least once before I started taking down notes and that kind of a thing. Not the end of the world by any means, but that's going to vary person to person in terms of how you feel about it. Knurling on the body, I mean, you can actually see right there, absolute dirt trap, which makes a lot of sense, right? Like it's textured area, which gives more surface area for crap and grime to grind itself in. Makes perfect sense. Like I understand why it's the case, but this is a bit of a pain to clean. I've cleaned it twice already, and it just happens, right? Which is kind of annoying, but not the end of the world. And I believe that this, the ATX, which is this model, does come in smoother variants, so you don't have to get the one with the texturing, but I do think that the one with the texturing looks the best by a good ways. It does post, but there's nothing holding it in the posted position, so typically I actually just left it unposted. It's quite comfortable in the hand. Like I said, it writes incredibly, incredibly smoothly, which is absolutely beautiful. It's very lightweight in the pocket, even compared, because my everyday pen that I've been carrying for like the past year now, longer than that. Wow, I've had this guy for a while, but maybe not quite a year yet. I don't remember how long I've had it, but this guy right here is a significantly heavier pen because it is primarily made out of brass, and it's fairly thick brass as well. But even my past carry pens, for example, the Phoenix T5 Tie, the cross is a good deal lighter feeling than the Phoenix. Pluses, minuses, right? Like if you're wearing lighter clothing, which I would recommend, this is not a problem. It disappears a lot easier. The reason why I think that it is best with lighter clothing, and my personal biggest drawback with this pen, is actually the pocket clip. It looks gorgeous. Like, it's got cross stamped into it. It's absolutely beautifully done with the arc into the top of the cap. It's got really good retention. My big problem is that it feels flimsy, and it was definitely not designed to be put over thick material pants like jeans. In a suit pant, uh, it actually goes really, really nice because of the thinner seams. But in jeans, it always feels crunchy is not the right word, but it feels like you have to force it into your pocket, which I do not imagine is good for all the different parts of this, and is definitely unfortunate. But it did work, and it does go in the pocket. There's very minimal signs of use and wear, so it is at least somewhat durable. Something I will say as well is the cross pen inserts are fairly expensive and proprietary, but they do provide a bottle refill insert. It's about 22 US dollars. It's called the push-in converter. In addition, the ATX actually comes with a second ink cartridge held in the body, which is really, really nice. And I mean, it's not necessary, but that is a super, super cool thing that they do. Threads feel really nice. There's nothing super special about them, like there have been on some pieces that I've gotten in the past, but the threads do work, which is the important part, and there's enough of them that it is unlikely to unscrew of its own devices. The cap is just a friction fit. It does detent ever so slightly. Retention is good. I didn't have this end up coming out of my pocket at all, which is a positive, but it's definitely not the most secure way of having a pen. It's not the same as like thread or even lever actuation like you find on bolt action pens. Is going to be better at keeping it in the pocket, but it works fine. You can hear it does absolutely slot in. There's a good amount of retention there. I didn't have it fail on me at any point in time. Overall thoughts and opinions. I do think that even at $22, it is worth getting the ink converter cartridge. This is roughly a 200 Canadian dollar pen. So a $22 cartridge or insert for water refill would make a lot of sense, and especially when like the proprietary cross cartridges are fairly expensive. So if you're planning on using this a lot and going through a decent amount of ink, if you're a note taker, if you sign a lot of business proposals or whatever, I guess, you will save money over a period of time, very quickly, but it also just lets you do more fun things with it, which is absolutely to its benefit. The ATX line has several other colors and patterns. This machined diamond texturing only comes in the blue as far as I could tell from the website, but potentially there's other stuff floating around, I'm not sure. In terms of just details, the details on this are really, really well executed. Cross is written 3 times on this band section. Right here, the stainless steel nib is blued beautifully to match the rest of the body. Like, all of the coloring is gorgeous. The finish between the smooth sections and the machine sections is slightly different, so you get like this two-toned blue color, which to my eye at least is very, very appealing. It feels really good to write with. I don't know how it'll take different inks with time, but in the time that I used it, I found it quite nice. I wouldn't buy this as an EDC pen personally. This does feel like a purpose-built tool if you're somebody who works in the office, if you're somebody who needs to carry a pen around for business deals, that kind of thing. If you want it to be a little bit showier, kind of a status symbol, show you do belong here, something like this could be a reasonable quote-unquote investment. You can carry it. Like I said, thinner materials will do better, just given the style of its clip, but that's going to vary person to person and your personal experiences. I'm unlikely to carry this very much.
outside of family gatherings or like Christmas dinner, just because it doesn't suit my lifestyle. I mean, even just today, right? Like, this is a weekend, probably like 2 weeks before this video comes out. This is a weekend, and I just spent it over at my grandpa's repairing some equipment that he broke, right? Like, I can't have a pen like this in my pocket because the risk of it getting damaged is fairly high, and it is a relatively delicate pen, especially compared to other pens that I would actually EDC. But I do think that there's a use for this. It's just not my personal use case, and I'm very, very happy to have this in my collection. It is beyond beautiful, and if I'm just sitting here writing, it is the nicest of my pens to write with. So it is the one that I'm going to reach for if I'm just writing down information. Yeah, that's where I sit with this. I do think that there's an absolute use case for it, but I do not think it is for everybody. As with most things, assess if it's valuable to you, make use of that. Stay safe and have fun out there. Peace.